Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. If you are an emerging Black screenwriter, you are in the right place. Welcome. This is Black Screenwriter Alliance, where we bring together emerging Black screenwriters who are serious about building a career in the industry so that they can forge their own paths ahead, finding your own way. And there seems to be a lot of that needing to happen currently in the industry. So welcome. Thank you for joining me on the live. It is July, and I'm planning on doing some more lives. I think I said that last time, but I actually plan on doing them. So first, let me actually just introduce myself. My name is Kristen Iris Johnson. I am a showrunner, film producer, screenwriter, and the CEO of Black Screenwriter Alliance, which, as I said, we bring together emerging Black screenwriters, and we have an awesome community for Black screenwriters, and you can go ahead and join that. You can try it out for 7 days. But anyways, we'll dive into today. So it is July, and July is the midpoint in the year, right? Like we are beginning the second half of the year. And this is a time where you may want to just pause and see, are you like, what were your goals at the beginning of the year? Are you on track? Are you off track? And to really take stock of where you're at and where you want to go, right? So you may have had a goal at the beginning of the year that now you're like, oh, that's actually not my goal. I have shifted direction. Or you might have had a goal and you're like, that is still my goal, but I'm actually off track and now I need to get back on track. And I know it's summer and it's fun and everybody wants to be outside, right? But like we still have things to do and we are still trying to make our way. So today I'm going to be talking about our theme actually. And this is our theme for July that is going to be here and also in the actual community itself. This is what we are exploring in the actual community itself. And that is all about how do you make screenwriting progress? Like push yourself to make progress, not just in your writing, but in your career, wherever it is that you're at, and pushing yourself to make progress beyond what that inner voice in your head is telling you that you can do and that you can't do. And this is important, especially for us as Black creators, because there are a lot of narratives about what we can do, what we can't do, that might have been expressly said to you, that might be implicitly said to you, that you might just be carrying, from years of society. And those things can have you taking smaller action or not taking action or sitting around and waiting. And we don't want that, right? Like I said, we're in the second half of the year officially. We need to be taking action. So, so July, like I said, that is what we are talking about. That's what we're exploring within the community, is all about how to take that action, but also addressing that mental aspect as well. So when I'm talking about that, there's two things that are happening. Like I said, second half of the year. So like, let's get clear. What are your goals? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? And then also, it's Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. That's July. Now, I don't like the word minority, but I did not name it, right? Because I'm not a minor to anybody. I am major, all right? And you are major. Believe that, okay? So, and like literally, we're part of the global majorities. But like I said, I didn't name it. Anyways, what's important in this is addressing the mental health aspects and the mindset aspects of the work that we do, right? If you are struggling to write, there's probably a mindset aspect to that or a mental health aspect to that. And this is so multifaceted, and there's so many ways that it might apply to you as a person. And it might apply in various ways. But the things that are going on in your head, the things that you are dealing with mentally, emotionally, these will certainly impact your creativity, and they absolutely impact your productivity as well. They impact even what you think you can go and take action to do. And it comes up in different ways. So I'm going to name a few of the ways, but like, do not think that this is all encompassing, because whatever it is that may be coming up for you, that is what you want to actually explore and look at. And I am inviting you to do that this month because it's Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And also, let's like just get clear on what the hell we're trying to do and move towards it. So, and if you want to continue to explore this deeper, you can join our community, Black Screenwriter Alliance, for free for 7 days. Give it a try. Come on in. We're having a good time in there. All right. So a couple of ways that this can show up. One, the current affairs. Like, let's just be real. If you are in the States, this country is fucked. Okay. 6 ways from Sunday. Fascism reigns. It's craziness here. And I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty details. But the point is that with current affairs, with this new administration, with the big ugly bill that just passed the Senate and is being voted on today at the time of doing this live, there's a lot of stuff that we are contending with, right? There's a lot of things. It's causing a lot of stress, and that is okay, right? This may be one of the things that's affecting you. And so what I want you to explore this month, or what I invite you to explore, is it's not about bypassing or pretending that that's not happening, but it is about like really being honest with yourself about how are these things affecting me? What do I need to take care of myself? And what do I need? Like, how is this impacting the way I show up for my goals, my writing, my career? And the building of your career. So if you're someone, I also just want to address this. If you're someone who's like, oh, I haven't really done anything, I like don't have a writing career, stop that, right? Because the point is that you want to build a career, right? You want to have a writing career. So if you want to have a writing career, you are taking action towards that. So just start to like own it, right? Own it. This is my career. I'm taking action towards my career. That's like the first mindset thing, right? It's like, own it. So we're getting into some of that mindset, that inner voice that's like, oh, I can't say I have a writing career. It's not about what you have done. It is, am I working towards this? Is this something I'm serious about? And like letting yourself own that, and own that the actions that you're taking as a writer are actions that are for actually building your career, right? And so, that's, here's just like a little bit of this example of the inner voice that can stir up. So going back to the current affairs, the way that can be stressing your body, stressing your mind, stressing relationships, stressing whatever else is going on in your life, acknowledge that. That is having an impact on you. And so if you are acknowledging this is how this is impacting my writing or my creativity or my working towards my career, that actually opens the door for you to be like, okay, this is how it's impacting me. Now, what do I do about it? Right? What can I do to make sure that I'm taking care of myself? What can I do to down-regulate my nervous system? What can I do to put myself in a creative space? So these are things that you want to be able to actually address. But if you're pretending that the current affairs are not affecting you, you can't actually address it. Or if you're just so swamped in the current affairs that you have not peeled yourself out enough to be like, okay, how do I take care of myself? It's going to affect you. And if you are in the chat, hello, thank you for joining me in the chat. So that's one of the areas, current affairs. Again, a big one. There's also anxiety and fear about the industry itself. There's a lot of dialogue right now about the number of jobs for writers is shrinking, that like there are actually more productions, more things being made, but that the actual jobs for writers are shrinking, that the jobs for these people are shrinking, that the jobs for those people are shrinking. These and those can be insert whatever job in the industry here. So you may be feeling anxiety about that, or it may feel like, is there even a point? Should I even pursue it? Look, I cannot make that decision for you. You have to really think about, why am I doing this? Why do I write? Like what drives me to this? And despite whatever is going on in the industry, if you know that this is what you want to do, then you get to look at, okay, I'm getting this anxiety about the industry. And then you can address that. You can address the anxiety piece. You can also address okay, then what actions do I need to take? If this is the state of the industry, what can I do to forge my path in the industry? What can I do to take steps forward, to push myself to make progress, which is the whole theme of the month. So addressing that anxiety that you may have, or that fear that you may have about the industry, is also part of being able to take bigger action, right? So there's also, that's the second one. The third one is fear, doubt, imposter syndrome in general, right? This is less about the outside world and this is more about you and you having fears, doubts, imposter syndrome about what you can and cannot do, or about taking action. I can get on a whole soapbox about imposter syndrome because I don't like the term. I know it's really popular. So I use it here because people will know what I'm saying when I say imposter syndrome. But I really don't like the term because imposter syndrome, it puts the onus like on the person who's feeling it in terms of like, there's something wrong with you, you have a syndrome, versus this is actually social conditioning that has taught you that you are not good enough, that you are not, that you cannot take this action, that you have to, that you are not of value enough, et cetera, whatever is that deeper message that is stirring up the imposter syndrome. That's conditioning. That's social conditioning. That's the things around you that you have learned, or the messages that you have gotten that are telling you no, play smaller. And so, in terms of specifically the idea of imposter syndrome, I don't like using that term because I think we need to acknowledge that there is a social conditioning element here. And the great part about that is when you acknowledge it, you can actually dig into it and be like, oh, this is where I got this message. This actually doesn't have to be true. I don't have to live into this message. I don't have to live into this story about how I'm not enough or I have to do X, Y, and Z to prove myself first. That's part of the exploration, right? And so when that's why I don't like that term, but what it really is that social conditioning, and you get to do something about that. With the imposter syndrome, like I said, there's also just in general fear and doubt. Within Black Screenwriter Alliance, our actual community, I do have a whole Fear to Self-Confidence series. It is a workbook and a video series, and it is really layered because fear is one of those things that is layered. It is like some people are like, oh, I have fear of failure. I'm going to use this as an example because it's the easiest one, right? And the fears that may come up for you when it's like, oh, I want to take an action. No, let me not do it because I'm afraid I'll fail, right? Fear of failure is not a real thing. Failure doesn't mean anything. What does failure mean? Failure only means what you make it mean, right? Like the significance that you have put on it. So fear of failure is typically more about fear of what is this failure going to say about me as a person and my worthiness, or what is the impact it's going to have on my life if X, Y, and Z doesn't happen. Is honestly, it's the same thing with fear of success. I'm afraid of, like, some people have a fear of success, or they it's not always as conscious. So those two are very similar, but more people will name fear of failure than fear of success. But that fear of success is often like, but if I succeed, this could change a lot of things. And I don't know what that means. That's the unknown, right? And when you have to face the unknown, your nervous system, your brain automatically wants to pull you back from that. And you have to understand that that's what's happening. Like, this is the mechanism happening in your brain, in your body, in your nervous system to trigger that fight or flight, even though there's like no tiger there. I've got fight or flight. Oh no, let me pull back from this action, because your body and your brain, your nervous system and your brain are trying to keep you safe. So it's like, no, don't take that action. That's scary. We don't know where that's going to lead. Bring it back over here. But that keeps you small, which is why I have that series in my community. So you can join for 7 days for free. You can click the link in the description and you can join there. That video series and workbook is there. And it is actually one of the resources that I am directing my current members to be like, hey guys, as we take bigger action this month, this is something that you may want to help address the fears that are going to stir up. Because if you start stretching your comfort zone, fear is always going to come up, because now you're touching on the unknown. We don't like that over there. Your nervous system, like, we don't like that over there. Come back over here. And that is why you have to understand what that looks like for you, so that you can still navigate through it, so that you can move through that fear. Because everything that you really want and the direction you want to take your career and all your biggest dreams are way outside your comfort zone, way outside your comfort zone. All right. And you're not going to get there if you let fear keep pulling you back. So an element of this, if you are making screenwriting progress beyond that inner voice, it also means addressing when that fear comes up. And sometimes it's not always like a voice. Sometimes it's not like you're telling yourself you can't do it. Sometimes it is actually the fear that is stirring up and you're like, "Ooh, this feels unsafe," and you pull back. Or it might show up as procrastination. It might show up as perfectionism. It might show up as getting distracted, picking up your phone and going on social media. And now 30 minutes later, it's like, wait, what happened? I was doing something. What was I doing? That is some of the ways that fear can show up because it's trying to keep you safe. So fear, doubt in yourself, these are things, these are part of that inner voice that tries to pull you back when you are trying to take big forward action. And if we're doing that, because we're in the second half of the year, trying to charge forward towards whatever it is that you're working on, then you have to be able to address that. Other things that may be coming up for you. If you're neurodivergent, there's like a whole string of other things that might be coming up for you. I'm autistic, so there's there's like a certain kind of, I don't remember what it's called, but there is like a particular kind of anxiety that goes with autism that I have to contend with. There's also, and I'm just giving examples for myself, autistic burnout is like a whole different level from regular burnout. So there is a level of that. As an autistic person, my brain, like, I actually need to get more recovery time and like rarely do in this industry. So, there are other elements of your mindset, your mental health that can be at play. Because, for example, if I'm in burnout or I'm experiencing like the autistic anxiety that I can't remember the name of, I literally forgot what it was called. If I'm experiencing that, I'm not writing anything. Like, I have to be able to navigate that. So you have to, that's another thing. And as like if you are neurodivergent, and if you're not, then like that's cool. But if you are neurodivergent, that is definitely something to think about and consider is, how is this showing up for me? What are the ways that it might be holding me back? Or how might these elements of my neurodivergence be feeding this inner voice that wants me, to pull back from the action I really want to take, right? These things are connected. And when you can address these things, it helps you to build that mental fortitude and that confidence to be able to continue moving forward. Any other mental health things, these are like anything else that you might be coming up against, depression, any other conditions that you may have. These are all things that can affect your creativity, your productivity, your efficiency, and again, your belief in what you can actually do. So as you are thinking ahead and setting goals and figuring out what it is that you want to do in your next steps, look at your next 6 months, because then that's the end of the year. That's a good time period. And the 2025 is a good time period. Look at the next 3 months. All right. So not only is 3 months all of quarter 3, July, August, September, at the time of this live stream, it is also the midway point between now and the end of the year. And 90 days is also just like in general, really good period to plan for, to be like, okay, where do I want to be in 3 months? And then what do I have to do this month to get myself there? And as you are thinking about that, like be a bit audacious. Be audacious. This is actually, when you sit down and look at those goals, that is actually a great time to first see what is stirring up for me. What is that inner voice saying? Right? So like, you set those goals for 90 days, you set those goals for 30 days, and pay attention as you're setting them, where that voice might be like, no, that's too much. Oh, no, you can't do that. What are you talking about? Like, or girl, like, you are not that good. You can't do this. Like, rein it back, come back to reality. And there's an element of like, maybe you are going a little, maybe you're not going too big for what you're capable of. But I mean, maybe you have a goal that is just literally not realistic in terms of how the industry works. Or maybe you're like, I can do this, but I'm afraid to, or this, that, and the other is telling me why I can't. These are, again, all of the aspects that play into what actions you might take. Are you actually going to take them? And what you feel like you can do. And there's so much dialogue. Well, for me, because I'm autistic, I have a lot of dialogue happening in my head. There's a lot of like nonstop chatter. It actually drives me bananas. And for those of you who are also autistic or ADHD, I am sure you understand what I mean. It's so challenging. Oh, I wish it was just a party up in my head, right? Like I wish like all the chatter was just like, you know, a chatter like just like party time, and instead it's always like catastrophizing, like, oh no, terrible things are happening. The terrible part is that terrible things are actually happening. Um, but sometimes there's other things that are going on. All right, so we've talked a little bit about how to address some of these things, and I want to continue talking about this through the month. It's like, how do you, you know, address the mindset aspects and build that mental fortitude so that you can actually take action. But I want to say that like these things, the mental aspects, the mental health aspects, the mindset aspects, these can affect you at any stage. So it doesn't matter if you are right now. And I want you to think about this from the perspective of what you are trying to do and where you are right now. Whether you're developing and outlining, you're writing your actual script, or um, your like TV pilot, whether you are revising it. And if you skip that step, please go back and revise. Whether you're revising it, getting feedback from people, maybe doing a table read, which actually these are all things you can do in Black Screenwriter Alliance. So definitely come and check it out. We do in the space, we do have a partnership with actors, so you can actually schedule a table read with actors when you join the community. But those are things that can stir up that anxiety, right? And whatever inner voice might pull you back. So if you're in that revision phase, if you're getting notes, if you are pitching, if you're prepping to pitch, if you're trying to think of who to send your project out to, these things can all be places where you stall. They can all be places where you're like finding an excuse, getting distracted, where you're procrastinating, where you're like, no, let me take a smaller action. It can also be places where you may block yourself from even thinking that an action is possible. I feel like I could do a whole live on that, right? You might be like, oh, that'd be nice. I wish I could do that. And never occurs to you that you can actually like do it. Like, oh, let me go take a step to do it. So as you are thinking about what are the actions that I want to take, also feel, like I say feel because your body will respond. Your body responds to fear first, right? Your body responds to doubt first. It's a visceral response. And then your brain catches up and is like, oh, that's fear, right? So as you are planning out and thinking about what are the actions I want to take, what's going to really move me forward in screenwriting, what's going to move me forward in building a career, what's going to move me forward in terms of whatever step I want to take in the industry, think about, feel for what are the things that are coming up for me? Where can I take bigger action? And where does that feel like, oh no, don't do it? Like where does that little bit of fear start, or a lot of bit of fear start to come up? And if you're not feeling any of that, I'm going to invite you to take bigger action, because I think it is important for us to push ourselves, which within the community, that is the theme, is push to progress beyond the inner voice. So for you, and if you're not in a place for that, that's totally cool. But I actually want to invite you, like, are you someone who has just been staying in like where it feels safe and where it feels comfortable? Or are you stretching yourself? Like, are you really honestly taking the most and biggest actions you can to progress your career, to move into where you want to move into? Are you really doing it? Because for me, just to be honest, I haven't been taking the action that I wanted to take. Right. And so you have to be honest. Don't tell yourself a lie. Be honest, because when you're honest about it, you can be like, all right, now I got to course correct. I haven't been doing what I really want to be doing. What do I need to adjust in my life? What do I need to adjust in my mindset? What do I need to adjust about my goals so that I can actually do it? But if you don't acknowledge it, you're not going to be able to change it. So that push to progress, that making progress beyond what your inner voice is saying, or those inner fears, those inner doubts, those inner whatever is stirring up for you, that means you have to face it so that you can figure out how to navigate through it. And I mentioned the Fear to Self-Confidence series and workbook that I have in Black Screenwriter Alliance. I mentioned that earlier. That is something, it actually takes you through those steps. So when you go and join, you'll have access to that video series and that workbook, along with a slew of other resources that are not only for mindset, but we also have workshops, we have industry conversations, we have all kinds of things, and we have different events throughout the month as well. So I'll be talking more about this. My goal is to come back and do more lives. So I will be talking more about this, but definitely make sure that you like and subscribe for more so that you can get notified when we go live. So like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you are on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can like and follow. Or come on over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel over here so you can get all the other good stuff that we've got going on. And then also make sure that you check us out in Black Screenwriter Alliance. You can join the community free for 7 days. Give it a try. And I will see you guys in the next live. I'm going to be coming back next week, and we're going to be talking more about taking big action, clarifying for yourself what you need to do, and also, how do you address that inner voice that stirs up for you. And if you guys have questions in the meantime, make sure that you put them in the comments, and I will try to answer them on the next live, or join me for the next live and I will answer live. So yes, thank you so much, and I will see you guys later.